Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Todd Clint's SharePoint podcast number 304. And I feel like I'm getting some backlash from the community, from the Twitter sphere, social media, that Shane's been on a bunch of times and his name's not in the title. I just want to tell you this is a dictatorship, and his name will never show up in the title over my dead body. So that's just put that all to rest. We talked last week. There's going to be a change.org petition. None of that.
Obama's calling you any day.
Yeah. You know, it would be like that old story, you know, the phone would show up and it would say White House switchboard, please hold for President Obama, and I'd be like, right. And I would say, terrible things and be terrible. But anyway, for those of you that have tuned in for Todd Clint's SharePoint podcast, this is number 304. It was recorded live Monday, August 29th, 2016. I am your host, the lovable and handsome Todd Clint. Other guy, do your other guy thing.
Shane Young here, at Shane's Cows on Twitter, proud to represent the bold zebras. Thanks, Todd. So
not just zebras, but bold zebras. We've had enough of the complacent, lazy zebras. Shane brings the bold zebras. Before we go any further, I have to throw a shout out to my employer, Rackspace. They make all this possible. They bought me this laptop that I'm currently not using as part of this, but I assume it's very busy during the day. And you can find out about all the things we do at sharepoint.rackspace.com or www.rackspace.com/Microsoft. Shane has already given you his information. It would be remiss if I didn't give you mine. I'm Todd Clint. You can hit me up on Twitter, at Todd Clint. You can email me, todd.clint@rackspace.com. I'm on Instagram, though I never post there. Is there any new social media things I need to jump on, Shane?
No, I think find a cow is not a thing yet, so I think you're good.
Not yet. We can make that. We'll make that happen. So reach out to any of us. And Shane's got a website at boldzebras.com. If you go to his site and you find out that they're trying to sell socks there, that means you went to Bold Zebra. Shane is so bold he needs multiple zebras, plural zebras.
Yeah, well, and some of my European friends thought it was bold zebras, as in, bustiers. So, yes, it is zebras. So make sure you get the wild animal correct.
That would be embarrassing. There's no wild bras here. I'm disappointed. I want my money back.
Speaking of disappointed, give us a production note.
Well, yes, I have many, mostly disappointment, but one happy thing. So I was caught up last week. Podcast 303 is mostly done. I just need to publish the RSS. I didn't get that out last week, but it's all rendered and edited, and Shane's face has been covered up by numerous things, and his voice has been removed for the most part. I'll get that out tonight or sometime tomorrow. So I am one behind. But the good news about that is next week, for those of us in the U.S., next Monday is Labor Day, and it's a holiday. I plan on getting drunk and being passed out in my backyard about this time next Monday, so there will be no podcast next Monday. So that gives me another 7 days to procrastinate and get this all done. So those are two bad things. Last week's isn't out, and next week's isn't going to happen. But I have good news. I was this weekend, so as I've regaled you all with, I've been moving for the last month, and I've lost everything and all that. Finally got our old house ready to go, so I was able to let myself work on the new house, was going through some boxes, whining to my wife about how I couldn't find my flags. And she's like, well, they got to be here. I'm like, I agree. Everything that was there is here. They got to be here. And I'm like, I looked in the box with all of my stuff, and it was these flags, this America, or this Canadian flag and all that. And she's like, well, maybe they're just wrapped up in those curtains that you had back there. Maybe you just can't see them. I'm like, that makes no sense. Why would they be wrapped up inside of the... So, the good
Jill
news...
is very...
Yep.
Jill is very smart. Todd is very dumb. Got it.
Yep. So found the flag. So there's that flag, the 5-year flag. And then here's the other flag. Now, I have not hung them up yet for a couple of reasons. And number one, because I just found them a couple days ago. And the other one is I've since been promoted. I am no longer a principal architect, so that just seems dishonest to hang that up. But Lori, before the podcast, mentioned that we needed some kind of something behind here. And Rackspace, we do conference calls on video all the time. And I bet as recently as like last Wednesday or Thursday, somebody got on a conference call with me and they're like, "Where did all of your flags go?" Apparently, that was the thing that everybody knew about me. I was the guy with the busy background. Um, so, so production notes. Maybe in 2 weeks when we do this again, I'll have some flair back there.
That was a really long waste of time to talk about a stupid flag.
If we're going to talk about really long waste of time, that could honestly be the subtitle of this podcast.
Yeah, well, it's much better than what the chat room is currently floating for the.
Yeah, never liked those guys anyway. So that's the production notes. By the time I see you folks again, I'll have everything caught up and all that. Now for topics. So Shane and I, we have this thing where I do all the hard work, and then I ask Shane to just contribute a topic or two every week, and he normally disappoints, but this week he came through with a couple of them. And the good news is there are things that have been making him unhappy. So, so let's start with the first one that you added, Shane, the SharePoint app.
Yeah. Looks like somebody last week found that the SharePoint app showed up in the Windows 10 store. That's right. Coming soon to a Windows 10 phone near you will be a SharePoint app. iOS has had it for, months now?
Yep.
The SharePoint one, I guess it doesn't actually work. It's just out there. It's just a placeholder. Probably to see if anyone's even there to click on it. But what do you do?
Yeah, it's almost like a gag. Like somebody made, the image and then put a description at Microsoft, and they're like, all right, let's just see. As soon as anybody clicks on it, we'll actually, work on it.
It's a valid marketing tactic. I can see it work.
Yeah. And so now is it going to be one of those UWPs or PWUs or whatever that those are, the Universal Windows Platform apps?
Microsoft, they're not discussing it still. It doesn't really exist, even though they accidentally posted it to the store. So who knows? Yeah.
So the idea with the UWPs, I believe is the acronym, is that they write it for one platform, and then it's going to work on my tablets and my Windows 10 and Xbox 360 or whatever Xbox One. I forget what number we're on now. And then for Shane and whoever else has a Windows phone, it'll work on that too, in theory.
Yeah. I can't believe they'd waste their time doing it, but I guess we'll just cross our fingers that I get another app to mess my phone up.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a little excited though. The Fruit phone has a big event on 9/7, so maybe you guys will finally pitch together and buy me a Fruit phone.
Yeah, so I'm in a couple of Slack chat rooms, and some of those guys are super excited, and they were talking about it today and posting all the stuff, and so we got into this heated discussion about whether the new Fruit phone was going to have a headphone jack on it, those kind of things, and it's very exciting, very exciting.
I can't imagine. Speaking of Slack, we were just getting off topic already. It's what we do here. So everyone, right? That's the cool thing to use. Use Slack. It's so great. Blah blah blah. Have any of you paid attention, or any of you, have you paid any attention to how much bloat Slack is? How much RAM it eats on an average day?
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, absolutely. And so I have whined about that to my other Slack using friends. So let me see if I can get a list of that right now. So I also run Chrome, so it's tough to see how much memory Slack's using because Chrome is always floating to the top.
Chrome uses all the memory that Slack doesn't use.
So I'm in 5 different Slack teams, and that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Slack EXE instances, and it looks like total it's about 700 or 800 mega RAM for all of that. So there's a couple of things that you can do about that. One of the things that I do is I collapse images all the time, so you can do /col tab whatever, collapse the images, that helps. And then for your different teams, you can flush the cache or something, and it clears some of that stuff up. But yeah, Slack is kind of a pig like that.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you have. I should have known you had fought with somebody about it because you fight with everyone on the internet.
I'm a lovable guy. No, I don't fight with anybody.
Most of us have a strict policy: don't feed the trolls. You are the opposite of that. You go looking for trolls and you feed them all the time.
I don't. So harmony is one of my 5 strengths, and woo. I am a good guy. I'm one of the good guys on the internet.
You are a troll feeder, but yeah, because mine, I'm only in 4 channels, and mine's also using. I counted up right before the show, 700 gigs of RAM because my one developer buddy made me start using Slack. I'm like, this is so much worse than Skype. He's like, no, Skype uses more. I'm like, no, one instance of Skype uses one instance of Slack, but I have 4 channels and 7 Slack instances, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it uses a lot. But I mean, I feel like we're getting something for our pound of flesh. I mean, it's a good platform. If you, especially like with you and your developer buddy, beside the fact you have to talk to a developer, but like pasting in screenshots and stuff like that, Slack is awesome for that. It's just Control V, poof, it pops in. I like it.
Skype, Control V, poof, it pops in.
Yeah, yeah.
And have you used the with Slack? You have the ability to do like a phone call type of video call thing. Have you used that at all?
I think Randy and I used it exactly once, like the day it came out. I'm like, holy cow, let's try this. And we did it. And like, well, now we've got like 8 ways we can do video calls with each other, and then never touched it again.
Yeah, I've tried it a couple times. It's never actually like fired and connected for me. I always just like, yeah, well, look, Skype, press a button, it works. So.
Right. Yeah. It's so for people that I know, I've already got, Skype or whatever, Skype for Business, Skype for Pleasure. I've got them all. Google Hangouts, all that. So I haven't found a use case for it yet.
Yeah, me neither. All right. So there was like 17 segues. So topic B.
All the way to topic B. So last week we talked a little bit about Windows 10, the anniversary edition that came out a couple of weeks ago, and how it killed webcams. And since I haven't published that one yet, we'll talk about that for a little bit. Microsoft made some somewhat reasonable changes to Windows 10 to change how webcams work, some high-def stuff. And what they ended up doing was breaking all of the most popular webcams on the planet, including the Logitech C920 that I have everywhere. And it was kind of a big deal. I think there's a fix coming out for that. They've acknowledged that. That was kind of a big deal, but then as the anniversary edition kept rolling out, we found out some other pretty nasty bugs with it. One of them is some stuff with PowerShell DSC, which I'm not sure exactly how that works, and I haven't done much with DSC in the last couple of weeks, so I haven't seen that one. But the real doozy is apparently there's a bug in the anniversary edition that if you have a Kindle Paperwhite or a Voyager, if you plug it into your computer reboots. It just blue screens and reboots.
That's one way to slow Amazon down.
Good Lord. Yeah, and so you think about it, you're like, I don't know how. If you don't have a Kindle, for goodness sakes, go buy a Kindle. And not one of those Kindle Fires. That's not the same thing. Buy a Kindle e-reader. It's the best e-reader platform that's ever existed and all that. I use mine all the time. But you can do it over Wi-Fi and all that. And so I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, that's probably not very many people because most people do it over Wi-Fi. But then I remembered, several months ago I downloaded this program called Calibre that gives you like an ebook thing and you can organize them and add metadata and do a bunch of stuff. And how does it sync up to your Kindle? By USB. So now I'm afraid to have my Kindle like even in the same room with any of my Windows 10 boxes that are on the anniversary edition. Because, you plug it in, it just reboots, I guess. So.
Nothing like progress, right? Windows 10 just keeps finding new ways to make us really happy loving people.
And this is one of those double-edged swords. So part of this is Microsoft has been adding new features to Windows 10 continuously, relentlessly, every month for the past 12 months. And there's been all kinds of great stuff. They've moved some things around in the UI. When Windows 10 first came out, it was tough to get to File Explorer. They added that. There's all kinds of great things, and it happens very quickly. You don't have to do reinstalls and these horrible patching things. But now, when the patches go out, it's something like this, and there's really no way to stop it. And once it's there, you're kind of stuck with it. And this is kind of the brave new world we're in, and it's going to take some getting used to. And up until a couple of weeks ago, I was a pretty big fan of Windows 10. I'm starting to get a little nervous now.
Yeah, well, I've struggled, so you mentioned those issues. I've also been having issues with Edge doesn't work. I know me and 4 other people use Edge, but there's been a lot of challenges where Edge has been really grumpy. But I've even went and switched over to this ridiculous browser, Chrome, which doesn't work any better for me. It hasn't worked well. When I'm typing in Word, I can type and wait 30 seconds and it shows up on the screen. I've had a lot of just overall system slowdown since the anniversary update. So,
and that surprises me because they have talked about this anniversary edition, and I can't remember if they talked about it at launch, but they basically said, a year out, we're going to give it a big major upgrade. And we've talked on the podcast a bunch about the Windows Insider program, and I've been on that, and I've got a dozen Windows machines here and getting the Insider stuff, and for the most part, those have been pretty solid. There have been some weird things here and there, but then this big one, the big dog, comes out, the Anniversary Edition, and it's just broke up one side and down the other. which really surprised me. So the other thing I was going to talk about is I found a couple of other bugs, and I can't remember if this is on machines that are using the Anniversary Edition or a newer build, but one of the builds that I've added, the power button doesn't work on the start button anymore. So you click the start button, you click the little icon for power, and it just flashes and goes away. So to shut it down, I either have to right-click on the start button and go in that way, or go into PowerShell, stop computer. On another one, I've got some bugs where the Bluetooth settings page won't come up. So settings, Bluetooth settings, it thinks and then it just crashes. And so I've got a machine that the only setup that it has is it plays music over a Bluetooth speaker, except it doesn't do that anymore, and I can't go in and fix it. So yeah, Ben, that's the world we're in. That's I don't know.
Yeah, agile at its finest, right? You take the good with the bad.
Yeah. So you had another story about that.
Oh, which one was my?
It's cleverly hidden in the notes right after this story.
Oh, we're in the notes again because we get so far off the topic. I really struggle with how to get back. Well, that was a beautiful segue that you lost me. Now we're always complaining in our notes. Can we just cut this and start over? Oh yeah, that story, Todd. Thanks. No, so we're talking about software changing so fast underneath us. Other one we were talking about earlier was the privacy issues. So we all know when you go to websites, there's terms of services and privacy agreements and things like that. They say, oh, we won't sell your information. We promise, yay, until they decide to go all agile with that. Great example, last week, WhatsApp. Hey, we'll never do anything with your data. Never, never. Oh, by the way, we changed the terms yesterday, and now we're selling it off to Facebook. It's just, what do? It's like, why try and keep up? Because you could be like, oh, I agree with all this, but there's nothing stopping them from changing it tomorrow, and you're just done.
Yeah, and so I'll be honest, I never read the terms and conditions. I couldn't tell you what's in there. And I don't use WhatsApp. I couldn't even tell you what WhatsApp does. But the thing about this particular one that cheeses me off is it's an ex post facto sort of thing. So if you were using WhatsApp and for whatever reason not getting your information sold was important to you and you're like, I choose WhatsApp because of this, when they change the terms and conditions, then they go back and sell all the stuff they already had. It's not like they're saying from here forward, at least from the way I understand it from all that. So that's really frustrating.
Yeah. Well, in the chat room points out they're not selling it to Facebook because they are owned by Facebook, but same diff.
Yeah.
My data is sliding across, and I don't use WhatsApp either. I understand that it's text messaging is all I understand it to be. It's just another text messaging app, but.
Gotcha. Well, and that was, so Snapchat was one of those. Yeah, Snapchat. All of your texts are immediately deleted, and there's no way for anybody to save them without finding out. And then a bunch of people found a way to save them without people finding out. And so Snapchat sort of had to change their mission.
Yeah, who ever believed that you were really sending a picture over the internet that no one would ever be able to see again or be able to get access to? Every time a kid would tell me that, oh yeah, I use it to send, bad pictures because no one will ever be able to see them. I'm like, it's flying across the internet. I promise it is going to be seen again.
Well, and so I've never used Snapchat either. This is a family program, so I can't get into why. But I think the way Snapchat worked was it's not that you couldn't save it, but if anybody used like screen capture or whatever, it would tell you that they did it. So it would capture those events, things like that. I don't know, but I never used it. But to say that now, Mark Cuban's got his own version of that now, and I forget what it's called, but he seems to think that he can do it.
I mean, they all do, right? Because we have later in the notes whether or not we get to it. I'll just go ahead and jump down there. But, the DNC is now using Signal. Same type of thing. It's encrypted phone calls and encrypted text messages end-to-end with no middleman. It's so secure that even Snowden says it's good, but really, it's flying across the internet.
So the security stuff is incredibly interesting to me, and I want to talk about it sometime. So maybe we should do an episode about security sometime. Before we do that, though, I need to study up on it so I So I don't look like even more of an idiot than I normally do. But that whole, like, I find myself reading books about that. I read a Kevin Paulson book called Kingpin, I think, here a couple of months ago that was about some of the early guys that were stealing credit cards. And just, this was stuff that happened, 15, 20 years ago. And the techniques they were using then was crazy. And so I think you and I have talked about this, that if somebody wants your stuff bad enough, they're probably going to get it. Security is less about making it so people can't get your stuff and more about making yourself a hard enough target that they give up, or it takes more resources than they have. And so I think that's what all these things are. Yeah, they're doing end-to-end encryption. They're doing whatever. They're just making themselves a harder target.
I mean, they absolutely should, right? I completely agree with the premise, but just it all changes so fast, and it's all, there's always a weakest link. You're sending it to another human being. There's a weakest link in this conversation, and it's just about exploiting it. Another one we don't have a note for, but last week someone found a Apple virus in the wild that was using 3 zero-day exploits. 3 0 days combined to jump the kernel and blah, blah, blah. Once again, way over my brain grade, but it's just a fact of life.
Yeah, and Apple, so I've never owned an Apple device with the exception of the Color Classic that I have. But I don't have anything against them, and they have customarily been really tough about the security stuff. Obviously, there's a story last year about the stuff out in San Bernardino. So I have a lot of respect for them from the security standpoint, and that makes me a little sad that they got hit like that.
Yeah. All right. So back to this thing over here that we're supposed to be following that we're doing a terrible job.
Yep.
So speaking of websites in terms of service, tell us about your new favorite website.
Yeah, so our mutual acquaintance, I don't want to call him a friend because that's kind of an upgrade, posted this that I saw. Jonathan Mast, he does a lot of website stuff, development stuff, and he posted a link to a website, Placekitten.com, that is a website that will give you placeholder pictures of certain sizes, and those placeholder pictures are all pictures of kittens. So you say, I need a banner ad here to see how it makes my page look, and placekitten.com/640 by 480. Poof, you get a 640 by 480 picture of a kitten. The internet is a wonderful place. I don't know what to say.
I just don't understand why cats are always right. I mean, we got keyboard cat, we got cat videos. You and I both reference cat videos all the time in our talks. Now we got Placekitten. Why is it always about the cat?
Have you seen cat videos? That's why it's about the cats. Those things are awesome.
But yeah, it's a pretty good idea, really, because I mean, especially when there's a lot of places where you just need pictures and you need text. The old, what was it, the
Lorem Ipsum.
Well, there was that, but then there was the Fox Runs or whatever, right? That was built into Word natively. You could do like equal rand, and it would do the big brown fox jumps over the woods or whatever.
Yep. So yeah, Jerry Lacanu brought up Ceiling Cat was also another good one. There's of course one of my favorite websites, catoverflow.com, is a great one. And then so I tweeted that Placekitten link out on Twitter, and somebody replied back with some web stream that's just nothing but a bunch of kittens playing somewhere. Like, oh my God! Whatever I paid for this internet connection I've gotten my money's worth just this morning.
Well, and you showed your daughter cat videos for the first time a couple weeks ago, right? So you've passed on this family tradition. I forgot about that until just now.
I couldn't remember if I talked about that on the podcast, but yeah, I showed her a keyboard cat, and she's like, "Daddy, are there any other funny cat videos on the internet?" I'm like, one or two. We'll see what we can find for you.
Oh. Well, then South Park used to do dogs through a wide-angle lens or whatever. They'd show the dogs, so that would have funny like clown music playing. So, all right.
So Placekitten, you're all welcome. The rest of the podcast is downhill from there. So Lori's got to leave in 6 minutes, so I want to cover. Let's skip a couple of things. I want to talk about the SSL bit.
Okay.
And so. I think I mentioned a week or two ago, I'm starting to move my blog over to SSL. I don't need any of the bad guys hacking my blog or intercepting our privileged conversation between myself as the web owner and you, the beloved web viewer. So I'm moving my stuff over to SSL. So you can go to https://www.toddclint.com, https://media.toddclint.com. Now, I haven't switched everything over completely yet, so there's still some images that are going to come up non-secure, and then my redirection doesn't redirect everything correctly. But I'm going to be doing that probably in the next couple of weeks. Partially just because I want to play with it and get it up and going, and it's a good idea. Also because Google they give preferential Google juice to SSL sites, so that's part of what I'm doing too. But again, it's a good talk for SharePoint folks or for anybody. SSL is kind of a pain to get going, and then every year you got to renew your certs. But man, with all the security stuff going out there, it really is the bottom level of stuff you got to do. So.
Yeah, it's amazing, right, that we've gotten to a point in time where just a basic website that's just passing static HTML, right, should have an SSL certificate on it because Google has said so. And I mean, their heart's in the right place. They're trying to make the internet a more secure place. They're trying to sell some more certificates, maybe. I don't know, but it's what's come to.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. There, a lot of security ideas have changed over the last few years and rapidly changed over the last year. And one of them that I'm trying to adopt is starting with the most secure thing. It's easy to throw a website up on HTTP and then just be done. And you're like, all right, the page comes up. But now I'm trying to assume a secure posture, and so now that bar isn't met until it's up with HTTPS or whatever. So I've got some tools that I'll share with you guys in the next couple of weeks over what I'm doing. I was going to share a tool with you guys that will evaluate your site and talk about what things you got, but it exposed a couple of problems on my SSL cert, so I figured I'd be responsible and fix those before I point a bunch of people at it. But that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about that.
I look forward to that one.
You mentioned the DNC is already using Signal. Yeah, I mean, you got to do it.
Well, if you're going to talk bad about Trump, you got to, do it in a secure manner, apparently. I mean, that's literally what their notes said. I'm not picking a side here, just it was what their notes were.
That's crazy. That's crazy, that.
And speaking of the election real quick, right, the whole FBI has reported that 2 state election databases have been hacked already, so why are we even going to bother to vote? Apparently some foreign actor is going to vote for us. So,
that's one of those things, and I don't remember when this conversation first started about making electronic voting machines. Now, I'm a tech guy through and through. I've got gadgets everywhere. If it's got an on-off switch and a blue LED, I am all over it. But that is one place I want no technology, and that is because of things like this. Now, yes, paper ballots and all that can be, we've heard stories about them showing up in dumpsters and all these other kind of things. Absolutely, that can happen. But much like the argument about how Napster differed from swapping tapes, it's not a functionality thing. It's a speed thing. It's a productivity thing. I can only share tapes so quickly with my individual friends, but I can share it with thousands of people over Napster. This is the same thing with these elections. Yes, you can already mess with elections, but on a so much smaller scale than when it's on the internet getting hacked.
Yeah, I mean, the internet, right? One dude can sit there in whatever country is, just feed up, just be like, oh, these people all vote for cat video guy, right?
So. Yeah, keyboard cat, right in campaign for keyboard cat. So yeah, I am not a fan of electronic stuff, or if they do it, they should have paper backup. So it should be regular paper ballots that get scanned and then kept, and then if anything goofy comes up, they've got the paper ballots to fall back on.
Yep. All right, 1 minute to close this out so we get Lori out of here.
What else? Any other topics, or should we jump into I got a couple of the things to talk about for promotion, but are we good?
Okay. Promote.
All right, so Ignite is in a month, September 26th through 30th, ignite.microsoft.com. It's sold out, but I think the schedule builder is up or will be up soon. For my sessions, I am doing a 75-minute session on deploy and provisioning best practices with SharePoint 2016. And then I was talking to Jason Himmelstein. You remember Jason Himmelstein. He got a session on upgrade. And, I've been doing sessions, and I'm like, I kind of feel like we got each other's sessions, Jason. So we're going to tag team. We're going to end up doing the thing since Shane couldn't be bothered to join us at Ignite this year. So Jason and I are going to be doing that. So when the schedule builder is live, if it's not live already, deploy and provision best practices, dive into Microsoft SharePoint 2016 upgrade migration, and do that. Still going to be in Slovenia. I was on Laura's Power Hour last week. Check that out. That's on YouTube. Shane, you got a YouTube channel. close
Good
us out with that.
old, what is it, C, Shane Young Cloud. Just today I released all the stuff around the 2013, so I finally got all the extra stuff to go with the 2013 install and configure on Azure up and posted, so go check it out. Watch it. Give me a thumbs up. Or
Yes.
like people who give thumbs down.
So, yes, don't give Shane a thumbs down. He was crying this weekend because somebody gave him thumbs down, and I had to bring him back from the brink. It was all very sad and all that. So give Shane some thumbs up. Give him some love.
Hmm.
All right, everybody. So Lori's got to run, so that makes us stop here at 4:30. I'll leave this up for a little bit. Shane and I will be chatting. See you guys in 2 weeks on the whatever 2 weeks from now is. It is 12th. I don't know. But reach out to us if you got any questions. If not, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye, everybody.